Hi everyone, Lazy Fire here, back with Three Toes for Hate the Player podcast, episode 49, I want to
Oh
say.
yeah, I want to say it's actually 50.
Uh, I'm gonna check my YouTube page.
Even if
So,
it's not, let's lie and say it's 49. We'll wait for Arnold to come
yeah,
back for 50.
right. Well,
We'll
it
just keep putting
depends.
50 off.
I guess it depends on how we count the Dead Gay Armcast. Yeah, what the fuck? God damn you.
Honestly, it really doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
No
it
one
doesn't.
cares. I don't even care, and I'm a part of it.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But I just figure we'll just find out real quick. God damn it. 48, yeah, 48 was the last one.
Oh, okay.
Deal with it. I know where our podcast is better than you. Uh, it matters. It matters to me, and that means it should matter to you as a consequence. Uh, so yeah, we're 49 episodes in, haven't come anywhere near hitting a good episode, so it's kind of a
I
record.
felt like the last one was pretty good.
Last one was fun at the very least. So, I was going to ask you if you've been playing anything interesting lately, and I know you don't play video games anymore. So,
Yeah,
um,
I've been watching video games.
yeah, you're
Um,
saying Hand of Fate was something you were watching?
yeah, are you familiar with it at all?
No, I've seen a lot of people playing it though, so I assume it's something.
So, it's a card game, which at first is an immediate turnoff for me. Like, I have no. Number one, I really don't like playing card games anyway, outside of a few exceptions, like actual desktop card games. Number two, I really think the idea of a fucking card game video game is ridiculous.
Uh,
Uh,
Hearthstone, everyone.
yeah. Um, but no, this is like it's a card game, but it's been kind of it actually has like a graphic controllable element to where it basically incorporates a hack and slash RPG game into a card game.
Okay.
Like you've got these scenes to where you actually see cards being dealt to you and explained to you like what it does and how it works and what you want to do. And then it kind of enters into cutscenes where your character pops up and he gets equipped, and you do things like go to a shop and buy new items, quote unquote cards or other gear or food, stuff to sustain you, and then you move through. Like you have a little like game token that moves from card to card, representing like different paths in your journey or dungeon or however you want to think about it.
Okay.
So you'll land on a card that gets turned over. It says, "Up, ambush." Now you're getting attacked by, and it draws a number, an enemy like 3 undead, and then it cuts, kind of another little cutscene. Your character pops back up. You're suddenly on like a battlefield or a level or a forest or a dungeon, and yeah, you then actually have to engage in combat, controllable combat against whatever was drawn against you.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's actually a decent way of making a card game interesting because you do actually have control over your character. You can win or lose a battle depending on how well you play, and it actually seems like they kind of incorporated the Arkham City fighting system
Yeah.
to where
Okay.
you have like you'll see a little flash above an enemy's head when they're about to attack, and you have a chance to counter it, simply dodge it or block it, shit like that. And if you're off with the timing, you'll get hit. You string together combos and increase your power depending on like what kind of trinkets or anything you have. Like it actually seems kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
that's different enough. Honestly, I've only seen bits of like Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering, uh, whatever the fuck they do, Planes of the Firewalker or whatever the fuck it is,
yeah, no idea.
fucking 900 word fantasy title bullshit. Uh, God,
And honestly, for all I know, that could be the exact same game mechanic that those card games have. I've honestly never looked at them.
yeah, but I've seen. The thing is, I don't see a lot of. Okay, let me rephrase that. A lot of popular YouTubers that I know of don't do a ton of the collectible card video games, and yet I've seen at least 3 of the guys who do videos on the Minecraft server playing it, And so that's usually a sign that there's something at least visually interesting enough to get them to do it over
Yeah,
and over
yeah. I've
again.
been watching Generic V's playthrough of it.
His sign off is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
I won't.
Take
I won't
care
argue.
and brush your hair. Fuck you. I
Yeah,
was
I
on
won't.
the
I won't argue against that.
I was on the Let's Play subreddit at one point, just like reading what these people who were sharing with each other in terms of like tips and tricks on how to get subscribers, which none of them had, by the way. So it was basically like a bunch of virgins talking about sex. And there's this one guy. It's like there's a thread. What's your sign off and what? How do you say hello? And there's one guy who's like, "Hey everyone, it's me." Like whatever his name was, Pie. And everyone, we're gonna start off today with a nice piece of pie, and that was his like sign on. What the fuck is wrong with you? What is like? I understand there's like a need to make sure people know that they're
Yeah, you have to
watching
brand yourself.
right. That's like there was somebody posted a picture of some kid's like whiteboard showing how he was going to become an LP superstar, and it's like build up a 2 week backlog, come up with trademarkable names, social media hits, at least 3 posts on Facebook, 5 tweets a day, all this stuff. And it's like, kid, what happened to just like having fun playing video games? Why has it become, and I say this as somebody who fucking records nearly every other game he plays, but, what happened to just enjoying playing the games, not worrying about like your branding or what people think of you on social media? Just go out and have fun, maybe record yourself, and if that's what you want to do, if it's what you're into, whatever it might be. What the fuck?
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree completely. It's yeah, they don't take any time to actually enjoy the game. They just want to figure out how to make enjoyable videos of them playing the game. And if you notice, like most of the quote unquote successful guys, or at least the people you actually want to watch, are the ones who do have a base level of enjoyment of the game. Like
Yeah.
honestly, I couldn't care less about having sign-ons or sign-offs. Like
Yeah.
I want to see you actually enjoying and playing the game well.
Right, and most of the guys on the Minecraft servers, like they do not play the games they're playing well, mostly because they insist on doing everything fucking blind, and so it's you spend 40 minutes figuring out a very easy puzzle because you're just trying to talk and remember how to or figure out this whole
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Sometimes a blind playthrough is nice, but other times it's incredibly frustrating to watch someone play it.
yeah, it's. I've seen some decent blind playthroughs. There have definitely been some out there, but for the most part, I'd rather see someone who knows what they're doing trying to show off the game. And maybe I'm weird because most of YouTube seems to disagree with me and think I'm a moron. Because they'll say, "Well, it's a let's play, so we're all playing it." No, commenting on a video that somebody recorded 2 weeks ago is not playing it with them.
No.
Gonna,
Yeah, I'm under no pretense that I've played all these games that I've been watching. Like sometimes it makes me want to play it, and there are a few that I'm probably gonna buy. I'm probably gonna end up buying Stranded Deep. Probably not Hand of Fate because that's just fantasy RPG isn't really my MO when it comes to video games. I've tried to get into them in the past, and I don't have the attention span to put into shit like that. Hand of Fate maybe because there doesn't, at least not yet, there doesn't seem to be any like skill tree or experience points to build up your character into the skill tree and blah blah blah. There's no real character building other than determining what your equipment needs to be. Like your shield, your sword, your weapon, any kind of trinkets, blah blah blah. I just don't have the attention span to put into usual fantasy action RPG games.
yeah, I know the feeling. Like, I got pretty far into Dark Souls. That was like the last serious fantasy RPG I played, I guess. Although I did buy something yesterday because I have no self-control and too much money. A game called Oblitus. It's made by Adult Swim Games, the same guys who did
Yeah, I
Volgar
saw
the
a commercial
Viking.
for that. I was thinking about checking it out.
It was 20% off. I might. I really want to play it, but I was just like stuck with way too many games to play this week, and so I never got to it, which is sad.
What's like the base? Do you know the basic like premise of it?
So yeah, you play as this messed up. Well, it looks like Gur from Invader Zim, but fantasy warrior thing, and you go through this like procedurally generated world that has all these monsters and everything that you're trying to kill and hunt down these big trophies. And so it's got like bosses and procedurally generated caves and all this other stuff, and you basically have like a magic spear, I think, is sort of the idea there. And it looks really neat. There's a sort of a trailer on their Steam page that kind of explains it a little better than I could. But I was just watching it, and it looked really fun and really kind of cool. It isn't an 8-bit graphic 2D platformer, which is like 90% of the stuff on Steam right now. If it's not an open world zombie hunting game, it's a whole thing. It looks neat. I can't really wait to start getting into it, but I felt a need to go through Road Redemption now that they've added a bit more to the campaign in that game. So I think I mentioned Road Redemption back in the summer, I want to say, when I first bought it. It's the game that's basically a spiritual successor to Road Rash.
Oh yeah.
I have a video somewhere on my page of me playing like the very early alpha. Like, we got enough people to buy into our Kickstarter that we've released an alpha of this game. Here it is. They've updated it pretty heavily. They put it out on Steam on Greenlight, and everything's it's there. There's 12 missions that they're all random in terms of environment and condition that you might get. So things like the crazed drivers, where they would like basically barrel right at you on the road, those are still in there. In the car rain, that was one of the levels in that early alpha. That has been switched to hallucinogenic drug zone. And so you have to dodge all these cars that are just falling from the fucking sky.
God.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, I remember that. That was
But
amazing.
they added boss riders. They put guns into the game. They added rooftops level. So you'll race across these rooftops and instead of like whatever. And the last level in the alpha that's out now, I kid you not, is straight up fucking Star Road from Mario Kart 64. Rainbow Road. Jesus.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully they won't get sued over it, but
Yeah, I don't think they will, but it's amazing. But the game, I don't know what it is. It got so... even I liked the early alpha, but what they've done now is just absolutely amazing. Like, it's still the basic same concepts, right? You're still
right.
swinging pipes at people. You still have 3 weapon slots. You can still block things that are coming in. But when you block stuff now, you actually get a critical charge. And the next time you hit somebody after you block a shot that comes in at you, you'll hit them for like double damage or something like that. And there's like a miniature explosion when you hit them. So they go flying off their bike even if they're at full health and use a weak ass weapon. And there's a shop you can go in and buy upgrades between races, and then there's a permanent unlock system done with XP that allows you to kind of just buy your way up into different like things. So you do more base damage, have more health, gain more health per round, stuff like that. It's pretty fun. They added quite a bit to it. I can't wait to see how multiplayer shakes out, because the guns in that game are overpowered as hell. Like, the Uzi will take down riders in like 2 shots, and I've used the Magnum in that game to snipe people from like halfway across the map. But I'm sure with actual players in there's local multiplayer, and I might actually move my computer downstairs for when some people are coming over in a couple weeks and trying to see if anyone wants to try it out. because you can play split screen on it, which is a rarity on PC. But it really looks like it's going to be a fun game when it gets to release, and I'm happy I bought into it early. It's one of my few early access buys that I feel good about at this point. So,
Nice.
yeah, I was pretty happy. So sorry, I'm Blind Sally of 90 Year Crow, and Blind Sally is sending me Steam messages right now because I'm an LP superstar, and don't forget it. Yeah, hopefully those guys are going to start on their Killzone 2 LP soon, and they want me to come in for an episode.
Gotcha.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also played a lot more Counter-Strike after our failed attempt at playing the other day.
Wasn't really failed because it went exactly how I expected it to. Just
some dude with an AWAP
us,
sitting in the corner.
just us getting our ass handed to us. It's actually AWP, not AWAP. Yeah.
Listen, Jadavian Clowney and everyone else I've mispronounced over the last year. I mean, what do you want?
No, I mean, that game just has not changed at all since, God, I started playing that game in the fall of 1999.
Yeah.
Hasn't changed a bit in terms of how it goes. Like, it's just kids that are insanely good with sniper rifles and AK-47s knowing exactly where to hold the crosshair to get an immediate headshot on the first shot of every single gun. It's incredibly frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. But when it does come together, it's still really, really fun. Like, as frustrating as it is, I do still really enjoy playing that game.
Yeah, that was when I was going and playing it solo after.
So were you playing competitive or casual?
I jumped into casual for a little while, and I have a real problem with it. Mostly because it's 10 players on each team instead of 5, and you just basically have to wait for either the time to run out or the guy with a sniper rifle in the spawn to run out of there and get shot by the last dude.
And there's no collision.
Yeah, no collision. You can hit your teammates all you want, so they just run in front of you like a crazy person.
Yeah.
It bugged me. I played a lot. I did a little bit of casual just to see how it was, and then I went back into competitive, and I pulled off some pretty impressive moves for me. Like, I used some shadow play on that, and I might put together a clutch montage just to show off how clutch I am. But I ended up taking out like 4 people in one life to save the round for my team. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
You know, and that's the thing with CS is I feel like you spend a lot of time dead in that game, even if you're good. And if you're bad like I am, or at least you haven't been playing it for 15 goddamn years, it's one of those things where when you can pull off a really good move, when you can get that last kill, when you can defuse the bomb and just like barely survive a round or something like that, you feel really good and you want to do it some more.
Yeah.
And then
there definitely is much more of a sense of accomplishment in that game.
Yeah, and then when you die 4 seconds into the round because some dude just gets off a lucky shot when he jumps as soon
or
as
your
he
teammate
spawns.
flashbangs you, and yeah.
Oh god, I got flashbanged by so many teammates the other day. The thing about the grenades in that game is that I completely forgot that I expect the grenade to go where I aim, and even if I'm moving, like at the moment of throw, I expect it to go where I was throwing. But if you're moving anywhere to the side or forward or anything like that, it changes the trajectory of grenades. I ended up throwing grenades right on teammates by mistake a bunch of times. So, yeah.
And see, it's so crazy because it had been so. And it real quick to sidetrack, like they're still playing the same 3 or 4 maps that were popular in 1.6.
Mirage,
way back.
Nuke,
Dust 2.
Those are the only 3 I saw the entire time I was playing.
Dust 2. You don't really see original Dust anymore because it's really biased for the counter-terrorist side, I think.
Yeah, it was Dust 2. My mistake.
Yeah, and sometimes Inferno, sometimes Italy.
Ooh, I did see Inferno once. You're right.
Inferno's fun, yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe occasionally Aztec. If people are like, if you're in the same lobby for a long enough time, eventually people will get bored enough with those maps they'll vote in Aztec. But it's so funny how I remember, talking about grenades. I remember all the ingrained like nade points. Like I know, like up, I'm gonna throw a grenade here. Up, I'm gonna flashbang here. Like immediately, like. It's just crazy how much you remember the choke points, where people are usually going to be during what point
Right.
of the match, and how long it's gone on. Like I always flash that tunnel on B as a terrorist, and then I always throw a grenade out there because I'm always expecting someone to be there.
Yeah, it's the same thing with basically any game that's an arena shooter. I'm sure Quake. I think I mentioned it to you. No, I was talking about this in Battlefield. But like back in the days of Halo, the first Halo game, I remember there were people on my floor in my, college who knew exactly where to throw grenades and shit to have sniper rifles like fall right to them on Hingham High. Like, kid you not, like this dude, every round you just look up and there's this grenade sailing through the sky. It lands right on the platform, and the sniper rifle goes right to him first thing every single time we played that map. And I'm just fucking. And he also had a sniper rifle timer on his computer, so he would start.
He knew
it
when
as
it
soon
was
as
going
the
to
match.
spawn again.
Yeah, he knew exactly when it would spawn again, and it's like that jackass.
Jesus.
That's the kind of person that you don't want to play against because they're just about autistic about these things.
Yeah. I don't even want to play with them.
No, yeah, they can be really annoying to play with. But, whatever. So the other thing I played, a lot of Besiege. I'm finally starting to get the
mechanics of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was working on something for the longest time, and it was this idea I'd seen online where a guy had taken you have pistons, you have suspensions in that game. Suspensions are just extended pistons that are permanently extended but can be pushed back by enough force. And this guy had taken pistons and suspensions and basically put them together with some wheels and made this basic, more or less impervious fucking death mobile. Put a cannon on one side, a flamethrower on the other. The pistons and the suspensions, they can't be damaged by any of the enemies that exist in that game right now, unless you run into bombs. And so he basically is just like, fuck you, I'm just going to tear through everything. He called it like the Invincible Death Machine or something like that. And I'm like, I want to recreate that, and I just couldn't get some of the stuff right. And so I kept failing miserably. And so I messed with it a little bit more. And if you hit a button with the pistons, you extend them. And there's a spring in the game, and if you hit a button with that, you'll pull the spring forward, and you use the spring to make like a catapult, and that's what everyone uses it for. That I figured that you can actually use a piston plus the springs at the same time to get extra distance on your launch. And so now I have, because I was trying to recreate this guy's thing, I now have this thing that can fire a bomb like 500 meters or something like that.
Yikes.
Like, oh, good. I've finally figured out something interesting on my own.
So, in that game, do you have, like, immediate access to every kind of building tool, or do you have to, like, beat certain levels to get new stuff?
You basically have full access to everything the second you start, and they're adding new content all the time.
Okay.
So, they added sliders and something else this week. Balloons.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that stuff on like Imager.
Yeah, and so they added a couple things, and you more or less just go into every mission, and what it is the mission is it gives you knock down this house, knock down this windmill, blow up this stone or whatever it might be. So you just have to come in and go, okay, I'm gonna fuck this thing up. How am I gonna build towards that end? And I think a really interesting LP idea, and I might do this because you don't have to have the 3-month rule is no longer around, is going ahead and saying, okay, everyone, we're going to go after one mission, build like the perfect machine for it in your mind, and everyone has to build like their own idea of what they would do to get this thing to go down. But it's really depending on a lot of people to produce content, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. But
How are the system requirements for that game? Are they pretty stout?
yeah, I've actually fucking destroyed my own system a couple times with that game. Uh, Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'll just check out the page. Store page. It there's certain things that seem to set it off, like having a bunch of button prompts because you can change what buttons do what on the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, at one point, had I want to say 19 cannons, and they all had every other one had a different button prompt. So it was like 20 things that had 10 button prompts or between them or something like that. And so the game was just like, no, fuck you, you can't do this. And was not very happy with me. So I had to reduce the numbers. For Mac OS X, the minimum requirements are a 2.2 gigahertz dual core, a 2 gigabytes of RAM, and an OpenGL 2.0 compatible 512 megabyte VRAM graphics card.
Yeah, I could probably play that on my work machine, but no, definitely not on my laptop.
Yeah. The Windows requirements are fairly similar, actually. 512 dedicated VRAM and a DirectX version 9.
Right.
I also tried to build a rocket in that game. Don't try to do that. I was going to do it by putting a bunch of bombs inside a bunch of ballast things and then letting it all fall down, and it turns out that will freeze your game and cause your graphics card to crash, so don't do that. I have a 970, so I shouldn't have had that problem, but here we are. So yeah, it's whatever. That was a lot of fun though, and I enjoyed jumping into that and trying to figure out what else I can do with what I have. I'm very rudimentary still. I still end up building a lot of things that look like boxes that have wheels on them. But I'm hopeful that I can get good at that game someday. I mean, there's not a lot to get good at, but it's one of those games where you're looking at it and you're like, this is going to be a really great game once I figure it all out.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to give it a try.
Yeah. So, outside of that, I don't think I played much. Those couple of games took up a lot of my weekend. Played Battlefield 4 again, of course. Because why not?
Now, I haven't been able to actually watch a video of, the details of it all, but apparently people have already started to mod Stranded Deep. Or at least, just kind of changing the code around a little bit. Not really adding anything too crazy, I don't think. A few of the screenshots I've seen though is that now it's the mod, or I don't know if it's a specific mod that someone has released, or if they're just saying, hey, just change this stuff in your config files or whatnot. But it looks like you can build like 2-story huts on the island.
Huh.
Like you can actually stack the foundations on top of support beams and build multi-level shacks and huts and whatnot. I'm not sure what else has changed in it, but I think it's pretty funny that this thing's still early access and people are already modding it.
Yeah, that's then some of the more fun stuff is seeing how these indie studios are reacting to the modding scene, which, I mean, honestly, mods have been sort of a dead scene for a little while in a lot of big studio games. Bethesda's always been pretty good about them, and Eidos, or Square Enix, I guess, has been pretty good about Just Cause multiplayer mods because they incorporated one of them into their game, so you can play Just Cause 2 multiplayer now.
Oh, nice.
They did that like last year. It was just like a free thing they threw out.
I mean, that's essentially what. I mean, didn't I might be remembering it wrong, but didn't the whole like Grand Theft Auto multiplayer kind of come from like a modded GTA 4 on the PC?
I want to say it was actually modded Vice City.
It might have been.
Like I remember San Andreas and Vice City both had multiplayer mods get dropped for them, but like that's like one of the first thing people like. I know there's a Skyrim multiplayer mod, for example. Like people love to put multiplayer in these games that might not necessarily be great for multiplayer. Though I remember San Andreas had like actual game modes available and some different variable setup. It was basically an MMO for fuck's sake.
Right.
But yeah, like a lot of studios are saying, "Listen, we need a multiplayer experience to keep people playing this game until the next one." And like I think EA a few years back actually mandated that all their games would have multiplayer in them in some form or another, which has worked and not worked. I think the best example of that was actually Bulletstorm, that had was a local no sorry it was local and online co-op campaign added to it, which is actually a pretty good idea because I don't think competitive would have worked in that game. But yeah, fun times. But I want to see where a lot of these indie developers go in terms of letting people mod their game. And,
Yeah.
Sometimes that's going to be a huge help to some of these people because there's a very serious PC gaming community that really laments the death of the modding scene, or the perceived death of the modding scene in a lot of these big titles every year.
Yeah, and I think with something that's early access and in either beta or playable alpha state, if you've got people going out taking the time to actually mod your game and not necessarily do stuff that's off the wall insane, but just putting in things like multi-level housing in Stranded Deep, they can probably take that as a hint, as like, oh yeah, this is probably something we should put in the game, and it might make it to final release. Towards it's actually kind of a nice like feedback tool for the developers.
Yeah.
If people are taking the time to mod it, then yeah, somebody definitely wants it in the game, especially if that mod kind of like takes hold and kind of gains some steam.
Right. It reminds me of the situation with Minecraft, where there were mods like the Pistons were originally something somebody did in a mod.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there were a few things that were like that, where people were modding certain things. I mean, rabbits, those are in the base game now, and those have been in like every other wildlife mod the game's had for the last like 5 years. But
hey man, autistic kids really like rabbits.
Rabbits. That explains why my niece and nephew have all those rabbits.
Oh god.
I actually came up to my nephew the other day, and I'm like, "Tell me about the rabbits, Ollie." He just started going. He's 7. He's never read Mice and Men.
Yeah, he doesn't
He's
get
fine.
the reference.
He doesn't get it. His parents laughed like hell, but
You didn't shoot him in the back of the head after that, did you?
no, he would have shot me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I mean, he's a 7-year-old in America. He probably has a few guns. So, yeah, I'm interested in seeing what happens with Stranded Deep and a few other games that are early access right now. How people kind of react to what other people are doing with the mod files and everything. I'm really wondering though, when you're saying, oh, they can make 2-story houses and stuff, if it's possible that you're right and it's like a config file edit, because that sounds very similar to what people did with Metal Gear Solid 4, no 5, whatever it is, Ground Zeroes, where they were changing it so you could play as Hideo Kojima or Raiden through the entire thing instead of like for minor segments. It was actually pretty great to see those. I bought the game on Steam sale partially because I wanted to try that out. Even though I have sworn off Metal Gear games forever and ever. So. Yeah. It'll be fun. We'll have a good time someday when mods become the standard again, because all these game companies that are one dude or three dudes are pretty cool with people messing with their game. They're just happy to have people playing it.
Well, I mean, it's yeah. You think back, like that's how Counter-Strike started. It was a free mod to Half-Life, and then Valve actually bought, you know, Counter-Strike from the guys who developed or hired them. I can't remember how it
I
was.
think they hired him. I think they did the same thing with the Team Fortress people.
Yeah, and the same with Battlefield. Like Desert Combat was a mod, and that basically became Battlefield 2.
Wasn't that the mod that was done by the guys who became Chaos Studios, who released fucking Homefront? So
I can't remember.
I think it was. They did one of the popular Battlefield mods that became a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a ton of examples. I think Insurgency, the other game that I've been trying to get you to play, that was also a mod for Half-Life at one point,
Oh,
or
okay.
a source code mod or something like that. Gary's mod.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. There's just so many of them that are out there that have become legitimate games or started as mods. I want to say Natural Selection was a mod initially too.
Oh yeah, I remember playing the original Natural Selection.
Yep. All these things. I mean, there's some really successful or well-known games out there that were initially like two guys going like, it would be really cool if we did this, and it became a reality. Not a bad deal. So, I don't know. I am so fucking brain fried right now from all the games I played this week, because I played. I
I've been
don't know.
playing too many games to talk about games.
Seriously, I'm too distracted. I'm like not really able to keep anything straight right now. Mostly, only partially because of liquor. Because my wife went to the liquor store and then bought the big bottle of Evan Williams instead of the 750 milliliter. Because I'm a classy person and I drink Evan Williams.
There you go.
Yeah, I too many games. Too many games. I don't even have anything to hate on particularly at this point.
Yeah, me
Kind
either.
of sad. I mean, usually I have lots of hate to just pass around, but not
Well,
this
next
time.
week we'll just have extra hate.
Oh! Valve announced that they have a VR headset coming out, because that's a thing that people want.
Oh God.
So it's being made by HTC.
Yeah, but can you use it to make sweet love to Gaben?
No, but you can probably use it to make sweet love to anime girls.
Oh God.
All my girls are 2D. um, yeah, that was such a. Everyone was wondering what Valve was going to do at GDC, because someone noticed there was like a random Steam program, excuse me, or something like that was on there, that they're like, yeah, this will be really cool. Maybe it's going to be Half-Life 3. Maybe it's going to be an update to Left 4 Dead. Who knows? And instead they were like, it's a headset, like everyone's fucking making these days.
I mean, it's one of those things where I'd really be interested in trying one, but I think we're still a long way off for those things to become mainstream.
I think we're very far away from those things being a good idea. Like, there's a lot of information. If you listen to, I want to say, if you're into ultra hardcore, the Minecraft guys doing ultra hardcore, which is like the one thing that's watchable from them, I think a couple of seasons ago, one of the guys was playing with an Oculus Rift, and more or less spent the entire time complaining about how you couldn't really tell what was going on, couldn't see things as well as you'd like, all this other stuff. It's just take the fucking thing off, you idiot. God damn. How hard is that? How hard is that? Just, unhook it. Go, guys, just give me a second and unhook the fucking thing, because it's obviously not working, you idiot. But, you try telling anybody on the internet what to do and just watch how fast you get dismissed.
Yeah.
There's so many things you lose. I guess Valve has some sort of a controller solution that includes motion tracking, because you naturally want to like turn your head and look in the direction that you know, because you basically have this thing in front of your eyes. You want to turn your head and look towards whatever is happening. You don't want to, and for whatever reason, I'm actually turning my head in my room here as I say these things, because I want to do it. And so they have a full room motion tracking thing, and they have a specially made controller that you'll use to play it on. So you're not gonna feel like you have to like sit in a chair and just like look forward, which I think is actually a kind of good idea. My problem with the whole virtual reality headset thing that people have been promoting for the last few years is it sounds exactly like the bullshit we heard when Microsoft was trying to promote the Kinect.
Yeah.
Almost exactly. It's a new way to play your games. It's going to revolutionize how people... No, it's shitty motion control.
Well, that's the thing. Like, people don't want a new way to play their games.
It's just really technology dick-waving at this point to say you have a virtual reality headset in development, or to have one, or, you know... I've never gone over to somebody's house and they're like, you want to play on my Oculus Rift? There's a lot of things that it can be used for, like this one roller coaster demo. That's it. I mean, there's not really a lot that sells me on this thing being the wave of the future. And some people are saying it's going to replace monitors. And no, it's not. There's so many problems with those things right now.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see if Valve may end up losing a lot of money on this. It may end up losing a lot of money on Steam machines and their Steam controller. But they've got money to spare because they just, you know, you basically print money at Valve at this point. Oh no, we're down in profits. Release another Steam sale and people will buy the same shit 500 times. Actually, the Steam sales are apparently when all the hackers come out for Counter-Strike, and people stay away from servers for the first few weeks after a sale. Simply because people who have been banned for hacking Counter-Strike will wait for it to go on sale and then buy it, and then just basically throw the hacks on again until they get banned again. Because cheating is fun, guys. Cheating is so fun. Yeah. But, you know, whatever. Someday they'll fix cheating, and we'll have good games.
Yeah, it'll be the same day when the Oculus Rift is useful.
Okay. when everything around us is but dust.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, the only way I can watch this game is by the Oculus Rift. It's like, oh, good. That's it. AAA title that uses the Oculus Rift only. Road Redemption. One of the characters that you can ride as is Shovel Knight from indie video game Shovel Knight.
Fantastic.
Shovel. So.
Well, if that's not reason to buy the game, I don't know what is.
There's so many good reasons to buy that game when it's on sale. Never pay full price if you can get it for free or cheap. It's a good game. People should go play it. I probably beat the campaign twice this weekend and played a lot more hours of it than not, because there's a grapple gun that you get for the rooftop levels to make you move faster, and you can also use it to grapple onto other riders. So
nice.
If you have a good aim, you can grapple onto somebody like 6 spots ahead of you and just ride on them. It's pretty great. Also, kicking people off into space on the Star Road level is pretty good. Rainbow Road is pretty good. Just putting it out there. So, I am thoroughly tired, and it just snowed about a foot here. So,
nice.
Yeah, good times. Anything you wanted to say before we?
No, that's pretty much it.
Because this is a short podcast for us, and it's 90% me just trying to remember what I was saying.
That's fine by me.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week we possibly have the return of Arnold.
Well, let's not make promises we can't keep, but
well,
because the 3 guys who listen to this are going to get all excited.
Arnold, that was the whole reason I listened to this thing in the first place. Said no one ever. Because we don't have any listeners.
Yeah.
So, yeah, next week, Arnold.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide indeed.